Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that's probably happened to you even if you didn't have a name for it. We're diving into the lifestyle creep trap. So let me ask you this. Have you ever gotten a raise or a promotion, felt super excited, but then a few months later you look at your bank account and think, where did all that extra money go? You're making more than ever, but you feel just as broke. If you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are not alone. So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to define what lifestyle creep actually is. Then we'll get into the psychology of why it's so darn effective. We'll look at the very real consequences, something called the golden handcuffs. And most importantly, we'll finish with a clear 4-step plan to help you break free for good. All right, first things first, let's put a name to the face of this problem. What exactly is this silent budget killer? Okay, so here it is. Lifestyle creep, or lifestyle inflation, is basically what happens when your spending slowly and quietly rises to meet your new higher income. It's not about buying a yacht overnight. It's about those small, gradual upgrades that, before you know it, turn things that used to be a luxury into your new everyday standard. Does any of this sound a little familiar? You know, going out for dinner a few more times a week, deciding you deserve the newer iPhone, booking a slightly nicer hotel for your vacation, that daily coffee that used to be a Friday treat. Each one seems so small on its own, right? But add them all up, and they completely eat away at your raise, killing your chance to build any real wealth. Now, it's easy to think this is just a willpower issue, but it's really not. There are some incredibly powerful psychological forces at work here that make this trap almost impossible to sidestep unless you see it coming. So let's talk about why we all fall for it. And you know, this isn't a new problem. Believe it or not, a French philosopher named Denis Diderot nailed this all the way back in 1769. He got a beautiful, fancy new dressing gown as a gift, and he loved it at first, but it ended up kicking off a chain reaction that he came to really regret. And that became what we now call the Diderot Effect. See, his gorgeous new gown made everything else in his study look old and worn out. So he bought a new chair to match the gown, then a new desk to match the chair, then new art. He ended up in debt, all because he wanted everything to have the same aesthetic. It's a consumption spiral that can start with just one single upgrade. And here's the kicker. All this extra spending doesn't even make us happier in the long run. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. You get a raise, you buy the new fancy thing, and yeah, you get a little jolt of happiness. But our brains are designed to adapt really, really quickly. That new car or bigger apartment just becomes normal. It's your new baseline, and your happiness level goes right back to where it was before, only now you have much higher monthly bills. And as you can imagine, modern life has basically put these psychological traps on steroids. I mean, social media is basically the Diderot Effect and the Hedonic Treadmill rolled into one powerful algorithm. For Gen Z, that constant peer comparison can lead to something called money dysmorphia, where they feel poor no matter what and go into debt just to look successful online. For millennials, it's often a fear of missing out, overspending on cool experiences. And even for high earners, it's about justifying huge costs to keep up a certain professional image. Okay, so this brings us to the really serious part. This isn't just about having less in your savings account. This is about slowly and often unknowingly giving away your freedom. This is what's known as the golden handcuffs. It's a gilded cage. You're making fantastic money, but your lifestyle, the big mortgage, the car leases, the private school tuition, has inflated right alongside it. You become completely dependent on that high-paying, maybe high-stress job that you secretly hate because you literally can't afford to quit or take a step back. Your amazing income has ironically trapped you. And the opportunity cost here, it is just staggering. I mean, let's put a number on it. Let's say your lifestyle creep adds up to an extra $5,000 a month in spending. If you had invested that money instead, over just 15 years, that could have been worth nearly $1 million. That's the real price of the creep, $1 million of lost wealth. And here's what that trap looks like in a budget. Check this out. A high earner might have 45% of their take-home pay immediately locked into fixed costs. Another 40% just disappears on discretionary spending. After you pay down some debt, you know what's left for savings, for actual wealth building? A tiny, dangerously low 5%. They are making a huge income, but they're barely moving the needle on their financial future. Okay, but it's not all doom and gloom, I promise. It does not have to be this way. There is an incredibly clear and actionable path to unwinding all of this and taking back control of your financial life. Let's get into how you can break free. The game plan for breaking free is actually pretty simple, but it is so powerful. It really comes down to these 4 steps. First, you've got to conduct a lifestyle audit. Second, identify your real motivation, your why. Third, put your wealth on autopilot. And fourth, start practicing mindful spending. Step 1 is all about radical honesty. You have to know exactly where your money is actually going. So, pull up your last 2 or 3 months of bank and credit card statements and categorize every single transaction. You need to see in black and white where the creep has snuck in. The numbers won't lie, and you can't change what you don't acknowledge. And this brings up a really important point. The goal here is not to live a life of deprivation. Not at all. The goal is to move from unconscious lifestyle creep to intentional lifestyle upgrades. An intentional upgrade is something you plan for that genuinely aligns with your values and that truly enhances your life without making you feel guilty or anxious about money. All right, so here's your actual toolkit, the things you can start doing today. First, pay yourself first. Automate your savings and investments so the money is gone before you can even spend it. With your next raise, try the 90-10 rule. 90% goes to your future, 10% is for you to enjoy now. To fight impulse buys, use the 24-hour rule. Just wait a day. And finally, be ruthless about curating your social media. If an account makes you feel like you need to spend, just unfollow. Protect your headspace. Because ultimately, it all boils down to this one question, doesn't it? What's the real prize here? The temporary buzz from a new gadget, or the deep, lasting freedom and security that comes from building a life that's truly yours? A life guided by your values, not by your latest purchase. The choice is yours.